All right, I just want to make this video really fast because I'm too lazy to write down the recipe and I don't want to forget it because I have finally made the most wonderful keto cheesecake ever. So anyone who bakes a lot knows that the best cheesecakes have sweetened condensed milk, which is really hard to find sugar-free. I don't know. I don't think I've seen any that has no sugar and no chemicals or anything. So the first step is making your own sweetened condensed milk. So what I used was 1 can of evaporated milk and 1 cup of heavy whipping cream. So according to the reviews, you could probably use all heavy whipping cream or all milk or just evaporated milk and it would be fine. But anyways, I used 1 can of evaporated milk and 1 cup of heavy whipping cream, 1 cup of monk fruit from, I think they're called Lakanto or something, 2 squirts of liquid stevia, and I believe that's everything. And then I put the milk in the pan, and as it was warming, I slowly stirred in the sugar. I put it on medium heat on my stove. That's 5. I kept going back and forth between 4 and 5 because at 5 it would kind of try to overboil. So I kept going back and forth. Anyway, I stirred it the whole time from the time I put it on the stove with a whisk until 30 minutes. So just stirring the monk fruit because it bubbles a lot. And last time I did it, it burned. So you have to stir it the whole time on 5. And then after 30 minutes, so from the beginning, or 20 minutes while it's boiling, then after that, I did it on low for maybe 5 or 10 more minutes, just stirring it just until the burner cooled down completely. And then I set that aside and let it cool. And as it was cooling, it turned into like caramel. So I went ahead and added it to the bowl that I was going to be cooking with 1/4 a cup of lemon juice, and stirred it up so that way it wouldn't turn completely into, it was like turning into hard candy. So I suppose it was like a good consistency, like it drips. It was like caramel, like a thick caramel. So you probably could cook it for a little less time, but it tastes so good. So that's your heavy condensed milk. Then I put it in the bowl. Then I added 1/4 a cup of lemon juice. Then I added 1/8 of a teaspoon of arrowroot and 2 tablespoons, or no, sorry, 1/4 of a teaspoon of Xanax gum, if that's how you say that. Once I write the recipe, I'll delete this silly video, but this is mostly just for me. Anyway, then 2 tablespoons of arrowroot flour, and I stirred that all in. Then I added 4 packages of cream cheese, the 8-ounce cream cheese, and blended that in nicely. And 4 eggs, blended that in nicely, and it made the nice fluffiest texture. So that is how I made the cheesecake. It was so good. And then for the crust, which obviously you should do first, it was 2 cups of almond flour with 1/3 cup of butter. I always feel like that's too oily, so I used a little less. I used maybe 1/4 of a cup. I didn't really measure it, but I just used 2 cups of almond flour, and then I mixed in butter until it was nice and crumbly, like as if you were gonna make biscuits. And that also, in that, I put a splash of vanilla, and I put a little salt because I've noticed lately that treats with salt taste better. And on keto, sometimes they say you need more salt. So I actually put in about 1/8 of a teaspoon of salt, the pink Himalayan salt. And then I mixed that all up, and I took my fingers and took a pinch of monk fruit and sprinkled it in. And that's how I made the crust. Press it to the bottom, bake it on 350 for about 15 minutes, then take it out and let it cool for at least 10 minutes. And then you make your cheesecake. So then it would have plenty of time to cool with the recipe I said earlier in the video. And then you pour it in, and then you should let it cook for 55 minutes. So I let mine cook for 60, just to be on the safe side. And as you can see, nope, I should have followed directions and stuck to 55. That's how you avoid that crack in the middle. So 55 minutes on 300. Even 50 probably would have been okay. So if you do 55, then you'd want to take it out if you were to do 50, some people, when the cheesecake's done, they open the oven and let it cool that way so it can cool slower so that it doesn't crack. So my recommendation would be 50 minutes and then open the oven and leave it in there for maybe 10 more minutes with the oven off, obviously, and then put it on your table. And then it shouldn't crack. That crack, I let it cook 5 minutes too long. And that is, it just keeps getting bigger. It's so sad. But it tastes wonderful. So this cheesecake is for a party, but I'm making raspberry syrup to go over it. So I used a bag of raspberries and like probably, let's see what it would be. It would be about a teaspoon of butter. And then, so first I boil the bag of raspberries. Then I put it through cheesecloth. Then I put it back in the skillet and put the tablespoon of butter. And then probably about 1/4 of a cup of monk fruit. And let that simmer down. And it'll turn into a nice syrup that you can drizzle over the cheesecake. And I could probably make some more of that caramel with the heavy whipping cream. And then I could drizzle caramel and raspberry sauce over the cheesecake. I believe that is what I'm going to do. So this one is just plain vanilla New York cheesecake. With this one, I sometimes make chocolate. And I had a little left over. So I melted it. And I took a couple scoops of the cheesecake batter and stirred it into the chocolate and then spread it out over there. And it was kind of clumpy, but then it cooked perfectly. So it's probably just because chocolate doesn't like to be cold. But I wanted it to be like a nice thick chocolate, and it is. It's wonderful. But this one's just plain. Okay, so if anyone watches this video, now you know how to make the best cheesecake ever. But soon I will type up the recipe so you don't have to listen to my long diatribe. Although I guess it was only 7 minutes, but that's still a really long time. Probably would have taken you like 6 minutes to just read it. I hope you enjoy. This cheesecake tastes amazing. It, like, you wouldn't even believe it's keto. It's so stinking good. So this is always the practice one that I taste. And this is the one that I deliver. It's sad crack. I'm going to make another one very soon, and it will not have that sad crack. Okay. The end. How do I stop? Oh, and you can put this paper